a video on pickling eggs at home. I was given some eggs about a week ago, and I haven't got around to using them or eating them, and I don't want to bake because I've got enough cake in the house. But I do like having something in the fridge, a savoury snack. So I'm going to pickle these eggs, and because they are like a week old now, they're going to peel a lot easier. Rather than fresh eggs are a bit of a pain to peel, whereas older eggs certainly peel a lot easier. So they are perfect for that. I'm not really a fan of bought pickle eggs because they tend to be very, very, very vinegary, and you can't really taste the egg. It's just like eating solid vinegar, in my opinion. And it's normally done. It can be done in malt vinegar in the UK, and I'm not really a fan of pickled eggs in malt vinegar either. So I'm going to use some apple cider vinegar, and because I don't want it too vinegary, I'm going to use some water and some sugar, just cheap old sugar as well. And then I'm going to use what spices and herbs I've got around the house. So I have some coriander, and I have some fennel seeds, and I have some small chilies dried, and I've got some mustard seeds. So I'm going to make the pickling liquor out of those, and I've got some tarragon in the garden, French tarragon. So that's going to add a really nice kind of flavour to the eggs as well. Dill works as well. Anything like parsley, dill, tarragon all work really well with eggs. So first process is to boil up some water and sugar. I'm using 200 millilitres of water and 200 grams of sugar. Bring those up to a boil with the spices in them. I'll bring over the pickling spice actually, I'll show you. We'll let it move out of the way. The pan's not too hot, so it shouldn't burn. I'll put a cloth underneath. So I have boiled up 200 millilitres of, you can't see that. Let's have a better move around, shall we? That there, and that there, cloth underneath so it won't burn. So in there is 200 millilitres of water and 200 grams of sugar, which I brought up to the boil so the sugar melts into the water. And in that I put half a teaspoon of each of the, I put in 3 chilies, and then I put half a teaspoon in of the fennel and the coriander and the mustard seeds when I was bringing it up to the boil. And then when it boiled and all the sugar was dissolved into the water, I added 300 millilitres of vinegar. That's going to be enough vinegar to pickle the eggs, but not too much vinegar that it's going to be like just pure vinegar taste. And I think that's a good ratio. So what you do now is let that go cold. I'll buy not boiling vinegar and adding it after the sugar's dissolved. You're not having to wait as long for things to cool down. So if you'd have to wait for it to completely cool down from all the ingredients being at a boiling point. But if you add the vinegar after it's all incorporated, you cut down on the cooling down time. And also by heating the herbs in the pickling liquor, you are starting the release of some of their flavours into the pickling liquid, which is what you want. It will happen. You can add them in cold, by all means, but run out of storage on my phone, so I had to faff around with the phone and free up some storage. So I was talking about putting the herbs in, and you can put them in cold, but it'll have the same effect, but it'll take longer. So it's just more advisable to heat the herbs up so they start releasing the flavours a lot more quickly. So next process, I am going to boil the eggs in a pan, cold water, bring it up to boiling. Eggs and water in the pan, bring them to boiling, and then, because it's kind of quite small eggs, I'm thinking 3 minutes, and then I'll leave the yolks to be soft in the centre, which is something that I like with pickled eggs. You don't have to, you can cook them for longer, and then the eggs will be solid all the way through. However, I just kind of think it's quite nice to have a soft yolk in a pickled egg. So I think 3 minutes for those. So cold water up to boiling, and then boil for 3 minutes. And then we'll cool them down in some cold water quickly, and then we'll peel them, and then we'll put them in a jar with the pickling liquid and the herb. I didn't heat up the herb because in the pickling liquid, because that will it'll make the herb go a bit brown and not as nice and vibrant, whereas I want the kind of fresh flavour of the herb rather than a cooked flavour of herb. So that's that. So that's the next process. We're going to do the eggs and we'll come back with peeling and putting them in the jar and talk about how long to leave them in the jar and that type, and how long they'll last, that type of thing. Right, so eggs peeled and they have been put in the jar. One of them was a bit of a pain to peel, and that's happened to it. Unfortunately, I'm not going to use that because the centre has been exposed and it's a little bit too soft. So what that will do is it will break up in the jar and what we call it, and start making everything a bit cloudy. Nothing wrong with that. It's just I don't like the look of it, so that's not going to go in. But it's also going to give you an opportunity to slice into it and see if the yolks are going to be nice and soft on the inside. So there we go, nice soft yolks on the inside. So we know that all the other eggs in there are going to have nice soft yolks, and that'll be lovely when they are pickled. Now, I will state this is not you cannot keep these eggs for a long period of time because of the reduced amount of vinegar in them. They just don't keep for like 6 months, a year, like the ones that you buy from the shops. Or if you were to use more vinegar, it would last for longer. The idea of this is that you get that nice vinegary flavour, but not too much of it, and because you're not using too much vinegar, it doesn't last as long. They're going to pickle in about, they will be ready in 4 days, start tasting nice in 4 days, better after a week, and I'd keep them for a month, maybe a month and a half, but not much longer than that. Because there isn't enough vinegar to what we call it, to keep it for prolonged periods, which is a rule. If you are preserving things, you don't have to put as much vinegar in things. If you don't, the less vinegar you put in, the less time it's going to keep. They're wanting to pop up, so I just need to do something about. They need to be submerged underneath the vinegar, and I think I'm going to put a bit of cling film on top of that. I'll put some cling film on the top and then put the lid on top of that. So, but they are, otherwise it's going to burst out. So a bit of cling film on the top of that. So that there. So that will now. I always keep them in the fridge as well because there's less vinegar in. So they're going to sit in the fridge for a minimum of 4 days. Best stuff after a week, and then I'll keep them for. They're not going to last a month. They'll probably be gone within 3 weeks. But I think about a month's about the right amount of time. For them to last. Nice way of using up if you've got a load of eggs and you want to do something a little bit different with them and have something nice to eat in the fridge. If you don't want something sweet and you want something savoury, and you like pickled eggs, it's really nice. I think that's it. I don't think we need to add anything else. Talked about the vinegar and using less of it so it didn't keep. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Although I will add, when boiling eggs, you just want just enough water to cover the eggs, because if you have loads of water that's going to take a long time to boil, they potentially will overcook your eggs. So with boiling eggs, just enough water to cover them, bring up to the boil, and I cook those 3 minutes dead on, and then cool them down. Put the pan in the sink and pour on cold water just to cool them down and stop the cooking process. So, and that worked out really well because they're nice and soft in the centre. But that's it, I think, for now. Anyway, it should be. I'll think of something else and then I'll add it to another video.